right, we're recording. Tell me if this sounds like you. You feel creative. You want to make some art. You have like something inside of you and you want to express it, but you don't necessarily know how. So this is why we built Class Projects on HITRECORD. Class Projects is a way for you to learn all kinds of creative skills. Great artists break down their creative process and walk you through it and get you to do it. It's learning by doing. Anyway, I wanted to make a video where I sort of showed some of the insights that come out of these class projects from some of the great artists that are teaching them. I thought since this is the first time I'm doing this, I'd start at the beginning. The beginning, how do you begin? How do you get started with something creative? It's a really hard part. I hesitate to say it's the hardest part, but it can be actually. For a lot of people, getting started is the hardest part. Finishing, of course, is also hard. There's lots of hard parts, but in writing, they call that the blank page syndrome. You're staring at a blank page. What do I write? There are endless possibilities. I could write about a million different things, but what? Getting started can be hard. For me, it oftentimes has to do with other people. If I try to do it myself, I often end up just kind of chasing my own tail. But if I can build off of somebody else, if I can say like, oh, here's a great piece of writing, let me perform that. Or here's a great picture someone drew, I'll write a story inspired by what I see, or things like that. That is a good way for me to get started. But other people feel differently. I'll give you an example. We have a class project called Storytelling Through Folk Music. It's taught by this great musician named Madisen Ward. You might know his band, Madisen Ward and the Mama Bear. And he talks about this way that he'll sometimes get started and it feels like it's out of thin air, out of just nothing, but one thought leads to another, and all of a sudden he's got this like great idea for a song.
The other day I started thinking to myself, what's a weird way to come up with writing lyrics if you don't know where to start? I thought of my age. I'm 33 right now. The number 3 plus the number 3 gave me 6. Then I thought of what's the 6th letter in the alphabet? It's the letter F. Then I started thinking, what's an animal that starts with the letter F? A fox. Then I started thinking of a red fox, and I started thinking, what could a red fox be? Maybe it's a sled. Maybe it's a type of sled, and maybe it's called the red fox. And maybe now it's going down a hill. So it's in the snow, and it's going down this long hill, and maybe the person who's on the sled, they start thinking, by the time we get to the end of the hill, that's when life is over. So you have to enjoy life for the length that you're sliding down this snowy hill. I think some really great songs get written that way, and a lot of times people think that it's based off of very specific things, but sometimes it really isn't.
So sometimes you can make something out of nothing, but then sometimes actually the opposite can be true. Sometimes putting some restrictions, some limitations on yourself is a great way to get inspired. There's a great visual artist who taught this class project called Expressing Yourself Through Surreal Collage Art. Her name is Postwook, and she talks about how useful it can sometimes be to set limits on your creative process.
For me, when I first started making art, I had inspiration just bursting from the seams, where now inspiration and process is more of a discipline. So sometimes what I will do to actually create art is make little challenges for myself. Like I'll tell myself, I want to make 3 pieces today that have a moon in them and they all have a green theme. Or I'll say to myself, I don't really want to use roads today. Let's try something different. Or what I'll do, and I did this yesterday, is I'll try to make a piece for every color of the rainbow. So I can always have a new idea. I can keep it fresh and I can challenge myself to create something new and fun.
Sometimes it's best to take a big creative process and just break it down into steps. I think that's especially true with writing. We have a writing class project taught by a really great writer. She goes by Metaphorest. Her class project is called Writing Bedtime Stories. This is what she has to say about getting started.
When I start writing a story, I will do it one step at a time. If I were to just sit down and start writing a story without an outline, the chances are I would get stuck, or in the best case scenario, I would write a story that simply wasn't very good. By taking it one step at a time, guided by the characters you've created, by your theme, and by the plot points that you've come up with in your outline, you're going to find the process so much easier, and the chances of you getting stuck are greatly reduced, I promise you.
Okay, so now you've gotten to see a bit of what some of our teachers have to say about the creative process, but again, you cannot learn a creative skill just by watching. If you just watch, all you're ever gonna do is sit and watch. Class projects, though, they're built for you to jump in and actually do it. They're not just videos. I'm showing you pieces of videos, but class projects itself is a full interactive learning experience where at the end of every lesson, you contribute a work in progress, you get feedback on that work in progress, you do it together with a whole community. There's a badass chat thread. Come check it out. And yeah, maybe I'll do another one of these. Write in the comments of other kind of questions about the creative process that you might want to see us talk about. And that's it for now. Thanks again.